Hi everyone, and welcome to And So On. My name's Lisa, and this is part 2 of making a Sezane jacket. All right, it's day 2, and I still have no idea where this is going to turn out, but I'm going to do my best to make a copy of the Sezane Will jacket. So if you haven't seen part 1 of this video, please go back and watch that first. That will give you a lot of information on what I'm talking about, and I will link it below. So first of all, I wanted to say that I am not looking to copy someone else's intellectual property. I'm not planning on making a pattern of this or selling it or anything like that. It's really just an exercise in being really aware of how something is made, looking at the design details, looking at the construction, learning some new skills, and making something beautiful. So it's meant as an homage. It is certainly not meant to steal someone else's intellectual property. It's just an exercise. All right, so let's see what I can accomplish today. First of all, my lovely friend Kait sent me pictures of the inside of the jacket. Kait has a YouTube channel and a blog where she shows fashions from different places like Sezane and Doan and beautiful, beautiful designs. So I'm gonna link her YouTube channel and her blog below for you to see, but here are the pictures that she sent me. Okay, so the main thing I took from that is the construction of the pockets. And when I was looking at that, I thought, where have I seen that kind of construction before? And I realized it was used in the Sylvia Coatigan that I made 2 years ago, I think now. And if you haven't seen that video, it's called Sewing My First Coat, and it's quite an adventure. So I will link that as well. But I have done that before, and it did kind of tick something in my head that, okay. So I went to the Schnittchen website, and they actually have tutorials on the Sylvia Coatigan, and I'll put in some pictures of what that tutorial looks like so you can see what that construction is. So I could do that. It would mean redrafting a few things. It's probably the most complicated option. It's also the most authentic option to the original coat. But then we get into the question of, well, is the point to copy exactly what they did to make that coat or jacket, or is the point to make a jacket that looks like the original, right? And that references it enough. I'm not looking to, say that I made this exactly the way Sezane made it. So I don't know if it's worth it to put in all that extra work. So then the other thing I thought is, well, it kind of looks like a welt pocket a little bit because it has that opening on the front. So I went back to the fabric store where the Paola jacket is from, and they have a tutorial on a welt pocket on their Lola jacket. And I looked at that welt pocket, and it's also kind of at an angle. I looked at that tutorial. That's an option. Lastly is the Julien Ready to Sew pattern. I took a closer look at that, and I noticed that that is patch pockets, and it's, again, at an angle. It also is in the seam, on the side seam, the same as the will. And so there's that option, which would obviously be the most easy. I haven't decided for sure, but I'm leaning towards the last option because I don't feel like the extra work, other than maybe getting some experience in drafting, is really gonna give me a better result. And I think it might just kind of muddy the waters. All right, so then 2 other things that I figured out. Number 1, the yoke. So I have cut the back piece in half and created a yoke. And I've added a little seam allowance to the bottom here. And I can link you up to the tutorial I used for that below from Guthrie and Ghani to divide this piece and add seam allowance to the bottom. And then I'm also adding seam allowance to the other half. The other thing is I see that line of stitching in the back on the will, and I don't know that that really is something that again, is a design feature. It doesn't have any function that I can tell. It's just a design feature, and it doesn't draw me so much that I need to draft another piece in order to do that. But what I may do is, instead of cutting the back on the fold, I might cut the back in 2 pieces and then flat fella seam down the center. So it will be 1 seam instead of 2, or I could stick with the pattern piece as is and then just decoratively do 2 lines of top stitching on the top. So I'm not sure about that, we'll have to see. All right, I think my decision is made. I just found this pocket pattern piece for a Berta dress that I had toiled and hadn't worked out. I'm gonna try it again later. But it's like literally the exact right piece. So this to me says that the sewing gods are saying, just do the patch pockets. Okay, so I am back. As expected, I did not have a lot of sewing time yesterday, but I did get some good figuring out time done. I actually had all my pattern pieces on the floor, and my husband came upstairs and he's like, I'm like, everything's in a spot. It's for a reason that this is all here. And I would just kind of look over and stare at it and then turn it back. Anyway, so did I say that I decided on the patch pockets? Write me below if you sometimes say for sure you're gonna do something in sewing and then all of a sudden you change it up and do something completely different. So again, this is the pattern piece that I have. And I think rather than just do it as a straight patch pocket, I'm going to adjust this pattern piece so that it fills out the whole bottom of the front panel. So it will look something like this. Okay, so first of all, you can see that I've cut the curve in that I think belongs in the front of this. I might even make it a little deeper. I've already done it once and I've done it again, and now looking at it, I almost want to add a little more. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece that will essentially be that shape, going all the way across. And then what I thought I'd do is I would cut this portion 1 centimeter smaller so that I can fold up the hem on this top piece, because obviously this is going to be on top, and encase this raw edge rather than having 2 pieces of denim that I then have to double fold in order to do a hem. So I thought that was kind of a smart thing to think of in advance and not in the moment. And then I also had a question, because I was looking again at the pictures, and I'm just trying to figure out, like, is the front of the jacket longer than the back, or does it come up and then go back down again, which is what I initially thought. So I messaged my friend Kait again. Kait, if you're watching this, thank you. Go watch Kait, guys. I messaged her and I was like, is it longer in the front than in the back? And she messaged me back and she said yes, and she sent me this picture. So it is, I'm gonna guess that looks to me to be about 2.5 centimeters, 3 centimeters, something like that. In which case, I'm just going to cut the back piece pretty much straight across, maybe dip it down a tiny bit and do that. So now I think I feel confident that I have all the pieces I want. I think I showed you that I also extended the front facing, although now I'll have to probably adjust it again for the change that I just made. I'm not sure, I have to look at that. But I feel like I've figured out enough things that I'm ready to cut, so fingers crossed. Okay, so you can see here that I've got the front of the jacket here and the back lower portion here and the front facing. And then you can see that I've cut the curve quite steep in the front and then having just a gentle curve across the back. And I think that's fairly close to the original. And then I need to, of course, add the sleeves and the back yoke. I think might use a different color for the facing of the back yoke. I still have to decide. Okay, so construction started and I've already made a mistake. I realized I've attached this front pocket bag to the main jacket, and what I realize is that it really should only start here because the button band comes down. So I have to take this out and remove part of it and basically start it there, and then it'll go down to there.
Good morning. So it is early Friday morning, very early, and I'm back in my sewing room. So yesterday got a little bit hairy, not crazy, but a little bit, in that COVID-19 measures were stepped up and our kids are no longer in school. So yesterday was Thursday at 3:30 they announced it, and so the kids aren't going back to school today or on Monday. And they're really upset. Well, they knew it was coming, but my kids love school and they hate, not being with their teachers and their classmates. So we've had to have a long discussion and talk about the fact that this is unprecedented in our lifetimes, and that it's a big deal. So they are, they're home, and because they go to a private school, they will be getting some online classes. So I think that will help pass the time. Anyway, so then I went to the grocery store, and up until yesterday, I hadn't noticed anything crazy going on at the grocery store. No, I know that in Canada and the States already there have been runs on, and Australia I think too, runs on toilet paper and this and that, and it hadn't really been like that here. So now I had bought some toilet paper because I was out of toilet paper, but I did buy extra, it's true. And then we went to the grocery store and we went shopping, and throughout the day the grocery stores got more and more empty of stuff. Not completely empty, but like fresh stuff, like vegetables and fruit and meat and stuff. But we did a shop, so extra pasta, extra tomato sauce, extra packaged goods kind of thing, crackers and cheese, wine. And then I went to the merceria because I was like, well, who knows what's going to happen next if they close the shops as they've done in Italy. So I bought some zippers to go with some of the fabrics I have on hand, and I bought thread because I was like, oh my gosh, what if I get stuck without thread? So I got my kind of standard gray that I use for a lot of different things, and it's what I'm using for the jacket, and an orange to go with some orange fabric I have, and some blue to go with some plaid fabric that I have. So, and I also have a package at the post office that I'm going to go to later. I'll bring you along with me. And that package, I believe is fabric, from Minerva, or I also ordered some beautiful fabric from Denmark. I also grabbed the two new Berta magazines, the Berta and the Berta Easy, so I'll show those to you in a different video. Anyway, jacket-wise, I haven't done anything since I took apart the front pocket piece from the main body, and what I realized is I actually have to make that front pocket piece smaller because I didn't account for the button band or the button facing. So yeah, it's all a process, and it's kind of fun to do the process. I kind of had hoped to get all of the video or all of the finishing of the jacket into this second video, but I have a feeling it's not going to happen, but we'll see. I'm going to publish this later today so that you can have an update, but I will take you with me as I'm walking around Sezane today, and as I go to get my package.
Okay, so this seemed like a good portion to stop and show you where I am. There we go. So, if you'll remember, I was not going to do this center seam down the back, and then I realized that when I cut my two pack pieces for all of my trying to not cut things incorrectly, I didn't leave myself a seam allowance to join them together. So in the end, maybe that's why they did it here too, I ended up having to cut a piece and do it down the center. The top stitching is not fabulous. I ran out of top stitching luck. Had some great luck with it lately, but not so much there. Anyway, added the back yoke. Oh crap, I haven't put the yoke. I was going to do a yoke facing, but maybe now I won't bother. So yeah, now you can see the inside, and actually this is all top stitched and done, so I don't think I'm gonna bother facing the yoke. I don't think I need to. I have these pieces, which are front pocket pieces. But what I realized yesterday is that I hadn't accounted for the button band. But I think that will work out in my favor because I think these are actually at too steep a grade. And what I'm gonna do, pardon my feet, is I'm gonna, because I can move it over a bunch, I'm gonna recut it slightly less of a grade, which I think will be more authentic. So next I'm going to add the facing to the front of the jacket as well as the collar. And then after that, I'm going to add the pocket pieces because I'll know exactly how far in the button band goes. All right, so adding the collar and the facing. To add to the list of things I did wrong, just in case anyone wants to feel better, I accidentally finished this edge instead of this edge. So I had to rip that all out and redo that. So that was pretty fun. But once I get the collar on, it's gonna start to feel like a real jacket. So as I start trying to pin the collar and the facing to the body of the jacket, I, after a few minutes, when it's not fitting correctly, realize that I have sewn closed the wrong side of the collar. And I've already graded it, and I've already turned it, and I've already top stitched it. So I cannot reuse it, so I just had to recut and cut my interfacing. Thankfully, I have that little bit of leftover fabric. But again, hey, that's what happens. I'm being totally honest and straightforward with you guys in every mistake that I make, and I make so many mistakes, but it will be worth it in the end. Did I say that already? I think maybe I did. Okay, you guys, this is where I'm at, and I'm gonna leave it here for today. I have attached the collar and the facing, and I have top stitched both all the way down. Facing is in, and then on the back we've got this all done. So that is that for today. I will have more for you tomorrow when I feel like tomorrow I'm going to finish the jacket. I did want to quickly show you the two fabrics that I picked up because I didn't have a chance to bring you along with me. One of them is this fabric here, which is a beautiful sheer gauze. But I think I could do a really pretty gauzy blouse. So maybe even a gauzy dress if I can line it. I don't know, we'll see. And the other one is this awesome sweater knit. So it's got like a shimmer to it. It's kind of like a marinière stripe, but fancy. Okay, so the updates and changes just keep coming. We are going into a state of emergency as of tomorrow. I'm not even 100% sure what it means. I'm not quite sure exactly what will and won't be open. I know that already the library is closed, the markets are closed, municipal, everything is closed. But I get the feeling that this means that all non-essentials are going to be closed, like, for instance, the sewing shop. So I'm going to go out in about 20 minutes because everything's closed during siesta. I'm going to go out at 5 and get even more thread and some buttons, and then I'll come back and I'll just keep on sewing. See ya. I'm ready. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.